Okay, ladies and gentlemen, greetings. My name is Carter Eckert, the Yunse Professor of Korean History, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to this very special event in Memorial Church in the heart of Harvard Yard. Now, this university has seen many special events and visitors in its long history, but perhaps not since 1838, when Ralph Waldo Emerson delivered what was at the time his unorthodox and shocking lecture on transcendentalism to the senior class, actually just a few steps away in what is now Emerson Hall. Has Harvard been host to what I would call so cool an event? Am I wrong? I ask you all, PSY at Harvard. Now, how cool is that? Now, cool events are great, but they're not necessarily easy to organize. And given the degree of interest, as you can all see, the sheer numbers of people involved and the complicated logistics, the speed at which this event has been organized, put together once the opportunity became available, which was only a week or so ago, is nothing short of astonishing. And I would be grossly remiss if I did not take this opportunity to say a few words to thank the many, many people and organizations who have helped make this event possible. Thanks first of all to the Korea Institute, our director, Professor Sunju Kim, our executive director, Susan Lawrence, and our staff. I'd also like to thank our co-sponsors, Learning Performers Program and the Office for the Arts at Harvard, the director Tom Lee, and the Edwin O. Reischauer Institute of Japanese Studies under the directorship of Professor Ted Bester. Thank you. There are quite a few people here, so let me go through them and then we'll give them a round of applause at the end. We also have an amazing team of people who worked with us from departments and units across the university. This is truly a university event. HPAC, the Harvard Public Affairs and Communications, MTS, Media and Technical Services, HUPD, the Harvard University Police Department, Yard Operations, Campus Services, and of course, the people responsible and the guardians of this beautiful memorial church where we are today, Director Professor Jonathan Walton and his wonderful MEM Church staff. And so many other Harvard faculty and staff who have really just pitched in and given their time and energy. I can't name you all, but you know who you are, and we know who you are as well. Finally, I would also like to thank the CJ Entertainment Company in South Korea for their encouragement and assistance throughout in making this event possible. And now I would ask you to give all these people a hearty round of applause. You know, as I look over this huge crowd of more than 1,000 people, I'm told, I have to confess something. As a professor, always eager to teach as many students as possible about my beloved adopted country, from which our special guest, of course, hails, I cannot resist fantasizing as I look out at you that this is actually my Gen Ed course on modern Korean history. The two Koreas. Eat your heart out, Professor Michael Sandel. Of course, to be brutally honest, my class numbers haven't quite reached the 1,000 mark, But I'm working on it, and certainly those numbers have been growing in recent years. And without doubt, one of the main reasons for this growth is the international success of Korean popular culture, K-pop, and the intense interest it has generated throughout the world, and also throughout much of the scholarly community here at Harvard and everywhere else. As I told Sai this morning, you are now an academic commodity. We study you. K-pop is now as much a part of the modern Korean history that I teach as is South Korea's remarkable economic development and democratization. And it's also, as Professor Zalton, whom I'll introduce in a moment, may explain in his remarks, it's also part of a larger history of popular culture in the 21st century, in Japan, in China, in Vietnam, and other parts of Asia, and indeed throughout the world. So many of my students come from so many different countries, and one of the sort of lures of my class is the hope that I will talk about K-pop, which I do. And our guest today, of course, is currently at the very center of all of this. Okay, I know you're starting to get restless or worried, so let me assure you, Sai is really here, and he will be joining us shortly. But let me explain the format for today's event. First, we're very fortunate in having with us today Professor Alexander Zalton, who received his doctorate from the Johannes Gutenberg University of Mainz in Germany and is now a faculty member in our own Department of East Asian Languages and Civilizations. Professor Zalton is a specialist in Asian film, audiovisual culture, and media, and before coming to Harvard, he taught at Meiji Gakuin University in Japan and also at Dongguk University in South Korea. I've asked him to say a few words to sort of put K-pop and our guest in a larger historical and contemporary context. When Professor Zalton concludes his brief remarks, I will then introduce our guest, who will join us and speak for about 30 minutes or so, and this will be followed by a question and answer session, which I will moderate. Now, about the question and answer session, to save time and expedite things, you have all received questionnaires. If you haven't, please raise your hand and someone will get you one. And these are questionnaires for you to write a question that you would like to ask Sai. These will be collected, brought to me, and I'll do my best to get through as many of them as possible in the time we have. Now, in framing your question, please remember the following. One question only. Be brief, to the point, write legibly or it won't get asked, and as we always say at Harvard, make it a question, not a comment. Also, at this time, if you haven't done so already, and I should remind myself, please silence your cell phones. Okay. Now, I know many of you would like to take pictures. I presume mainly of Professor Zalton and myself. Well, guess what? You're in luck. Taking pictures is perfectly fine. Take as many as you want, just keep the phone silent, okay? Agreed? Okay, very good. And now I would like to call upon my colleague, Professor Alexander Zalton, to give us a few preliminary remarks. Professor Zalton.
I agree, it's a nice fantasy to think that even a single person here is here to hear what we are going to say, but I know that's not the case, and I know I have basically the role of the person for the next 10 minutes that everyone is waiting to finally finish so that Sai will come out, but I would like to take those few minutes because I do think there's something incredibly interesting going on here, and all of you can feel kind of the energy in the room. It's really palpable, and just, you know, it's energy that's generated by the expectation that soon a pop star from Korea will come in. And that would not have been possible 10 or 15 years ago. That in itself is kind of an interesting fact, but it doesn't tell us a whole lot. So I would like to take a few minutes just to think about why both you and I think that Sai is important. Before I do that, I want to do a quick poll I want to ask you what you think, which cultural commodity, which part of Korean cultural production, pop cultural production, is the most profitable at this moment? What is making the most money in terms of exports of popular culture from Korea? Is it movies? Is it video games? Is it music? Is it TV dramas? So when I say movies, I want you all to say movies. And if you think that movies are the #1 earners, say it really loud. And if you think, they're number 2 or 3, just say it very quietly, okay? So, do you think it's movies? Wow, that's, okay. Do you think it's music? Okay. Do you think it's TV drama? Say drama. Okay. Do you think it's video games? Say games. Okay, I guess drama 1 is my impression. I'll come to the answer in a few minutes. It's interesting, actually. Actually, in 1998, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that answer, because until 1998, the amount that the Korean entertainment industry earned through exports was so small that the government didn't even keep statistics on this. 5 years later, in 2003, already, the entertainment industry was making around $650 million through exports. And since then, it's become, of course, a multi-billion-dollar business. Especially Japan and Korea's media industries have become immensely successful in the last 15 to 20 years. It's one of the big, very astounding success stories in terms of pop cultural economies. And it was around 10 to 15 years ago that both Korea and Japan, both the Korean and Japanese governments decided that this was actually interesting. And they started to change legislation, give out subsidies, and try to actively support pop cultural production, which is interesting because before that, popular culture was seen as kind of embarrassing. And when the governments wanted to portray themselves outside of, to the world, so to say, they always relied on what was called traditional culture. And now, because this has become such a popular, successful model, that kind of policy has traveled throughout East and Southeast Asia. So now, Taiwan, Singapore, Thailand, the Philippines, mainland China, of course, Hong Kong, have all started to emulate these models. And it's become kind of a fad. And we have no idea how successful they're going to be, but I think we all know that 15, 20 years from now, global popular culture will be a lot more influenced by Asian pop cultural production than it is today. We'll know a lot more names of singers, computer programmers, and directors from Asia. That's a little bit something different than talking about national culture. Those that know a bit about K-pop know all about the intense training that all of these entertainers go through. A lot of them enter the talent agencies when they're 11 or 12 and go through years and years of training, dancing training, often with foreign choreographers. They work with Korean and foreign songwriters. They go through language classes so that they can later give interviews in Mandarin, in Japanese, in English. And they're groomed to be international stars. Once they are international stars, they're then promoted as, somewhat paradoxically, as purely Korean stars, right? For the Korean national brand, so to say. Hallyu, the Korean wave. And that's, of course, interesting because global popular culture is in many ways borderless already, right? From the moment that they start their training, it's a borderless enterprise. Okay, in that respect, I want to start talking a little bit about what is very important, of course, for PSY's success, and that's the internet. Before that, I'll give you the answer to your to the question I posed earlier. So you said it's drama, and number 2 was music, and I couldn't quite tell. I thought video games was maybe number 3 and movies number 4. Actually, if you look at the numbers from 2007, the income that Korean companies made from video game exports was about 50 times as high as that made from music. It's about half of what the Korean entertainment industry makes in terms of total exports. A lot of those are games, online games like StarCraft, because the Korean society has, of course, completely gone online. Are there any StarCraft players in the room? Good. If you want to write a senior thesis on this, come to me after this, okay? Someone has to. Okay, so with online games, really what export even means becomes kind of ambiguous, and that's interesting because there are, of course, different language versions of a game like StarCraft, but the servers can be in Korea and Southeast Asia and the US. The players can be in France, South Africa, and Korea as well. This can go back and forth, crisscross. What's inside and what outside in terms of national boundaries becomes completely ambiguous. And PSY is a great example, I think, of these kinds of tendencies of global digital popular culture, right? He's a global citizen. He's studied and lived in several countries. He's taken influences from all over the world, and he's in turn influenced people all over the world. He's deeply connected to digital culture. His international success was, of course, channeled through YouTube, while his national success in Korea, and he's been a star in Korea for quite some time, was always channeled through television, which is much more nationally bounded as a medium. And the many videos that were produced as kind of a homage or a parody to Gangnam Style were a part of this, and that's not incidental. PSY has talked about how much work he put into the horse riding dance. To develop it, really, many, basically weeks and weeks, just to develop this dance, to make it distinctive, interesting, but something that people can also fairly easily imitate and latch onto. And this form of imitation and videos that also people can latch onto and create their own version, that's the art of stimulating participation, and that's part of global digital culture. That said, I can't do the horse riding dance at all. But I'm told it's easy, actually. So, this is also part of what distinguishes PSY from other K-pop stars and making him kind of special within that industry. He was not groomed and trained over years by a talent agency, and talent agencies will then, of course, send out their stars and kind of in the TV model. They'll show them around and sell their music. People will buy their music, right? It's not so much about participation initially. It's a TV model, not an internet, global digital culture model, right? And the Korean industry has tried for years now, the music industry especially, to have a breakthrough in the US using that TV model. And it didn't work. And it was PSY who was using the digital internet model, participatory culture model, who was not groomed in a talent factory like others, and who was often very controversial. And I'm sure he has something to say about suddenly attitudes changing in Korea after Gangnam Style, and people that before saw him as a controversial troublemaker suddenly seeing him as the pride of the nation. But it was him that had this commercial success, not groups like 21 or Big Bang or so. Not that they're not talented. But since it was PSY, and he has a model and a career that is not that easy to replicate or to produce in a factory-type model, there are a lot of executives, I think, right now in Korea scratching their head, thinking about what to do next to produce a similar kind of success. But that's not really our problem, so I'm going to stop here and get out of the way and shut up so that Carter can finally, oh yes, it's going, okay, can finally introduce PSY.
It's now my pleasure to introduce our main guest and our speaker today. What more can I say? He's a genuine cultural phenomenon from Korea, but of the world. Please welcome PSY.
First of all, you can take a picture as many as you can. All right, so first of all, thanks to President Fast, having me here, giving me an opportunity to make a speech with you guys. And this is really weird, isn't it? you know, um, you might know about this, but I was in Boston. I spent 4 years in Boston when I age was college student age, and it was from 96 to 2000. I was in Boston, and honestly, I was really poor in academic at the time. So, I literally lived in Boston, but, across the river, there's a university called Harvard, but I've never been to Harvard, and I just saw the Harvard, and oh, that's Harvard, looks nice, and then, I just lived 4 years, having nothing to do with Harvard. But after 14 years, who knew I came back here? I came back to Boston to make a speech in Harvard. Isn't life beautiful? So basically, you might know me only with the song called Gangnam Style, and so I knew like some of you know me as an artist or as a singer, or they are using the quotation called like South Korea rap sensation, whatever. But some of you, like except Koreans, every people around the world, some of them, they are assuming me as like comedian or something. Yeah. So before the Gangnam Style, I want to tell you why did I make Gangnam Style, and I should tell you about the past before the Gangnam Style. Wow, this is great because when I'm doing like 30-minute gig in like a lot of countries, when I started to say, because when I do the 30-minute gig, I only cannot do Gangnam Style like 5-6 times, right? I gotta do something else. And that's what the promoters expect me to bring me having a 30-minute gig. So I'm asking them like, oh really, 30 minutes? What should I do without Gangnam Style? And he's saying like, hey, we heard that you've been a singer for more than a decade, and you should have some songs. Yeah, I have a song, but can I and may I, and like, is the audience okay with that? And he's like, oh, they gonna love it. But when I step into the stage, and I gotta explain them, because when I step into the stage, like for example, Australia last February, there were some shows called Future Music Festival, and it was like electronic music festival. And you know what that kind of festival is all about? They are like half naked, and they are. It's like 19 over show, and they were literally drunk, and they are expecting something dynamic. So when I step into the stage, they are like oh, yeah, oh, whoa. So like hundreds of thousands of people, half naked, dynamic people, they are like doing all that, oh. But in front of them, I gotta say the same thing that I just told you. I gotta tell you about my past before Gangnam Style. And they are saying like, no! So the reason why I'm telling you this right now, this was the first reaction that that I said, I'm gonna tell you the past before Gangnam Style, and this was the first time such a calm reaction, and I appreciate that. So, I heard that I'm the first guy, I'm the first person who's making a speech at Harvard without script. So they were, when oh, thank you. So when I, when I step into the, this church, the back door of the church, like, a lot of colleagues, like, of your university asked me, like, so, can we have the script? And I said, no. And they were like, really? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, they didn't say why, but their face was like, why? So, so the reason why I don't have script is, I'm not here to make something academic or educational. I'm just here, I'm just here to tell you about my experience. And as you all know, the past like 7-8 months of my experience, that's, if we call it in positive way, it's like very special experience. And like, so, if I'm telling you about my experience, some of you may, accept that maybe academically. So maybe some of you, but most of you gonna say like after like every speech is done, like, was it? What was it? What was it? What was he saying? So think it that way. So what I heard was, until today, you guys were in what was it called? Like reading day, right? And today is the end of the reading day, right? So end of the reading day, you're facing Psy, and so what I call it, the situation right now we are facing, I'm not gonna call it end of the reading day, but I would like to call this the beginning of striking. That's what you're gonna do. So let me tell you my personal thing briefly. I was born in Korea in 1977, and yeah, I know I'm young. So I was, in Asia. There are really strong tradition that sons gotta inherit their family business if they have a family business. So unfortunately, I was the only son among entire my whole family. I was the only son. So my grandfather founded the business, and my father boosted the business. And since when I was born, they were looking at me and they are saying, it's your turn. But they, started to keep frustrating what I've done, academically and so on. So what I tried to do was, I don't want to be, the business is, semiconductor equipment thing. So they are expecting me to do that semiconductor equipment thing for 20 years. They are keep telling me, you gotta do a semiconductor. So after elementary school, middle school, high school, you know, I gotta find the way to avoid from the comment keep telling me I gotta do the semiconductor. So I started to convince them that I wanna be a bigger person. I wanna be a better person. I wanna be a wider person and wiser person. So if you allow, I wanna study abroad. I wanna study business like you want. So can I? And he was like, oh, finally you became my son. so I, graduated from high school, and then I applied Boston University, and that's why I came to the United States for the first time, and that was 1996. And I was at called School of Management, and I've been lived at Warren Towers. But like I told you, I graduated high school in Korea, and I just came to the United States. So I don't know how to say a single word in English. So what I could say at that time was, like worldwide English, like such as taxi, bus, and diamond or something like that. We all know that kind of word. So let me tell you some funny stories. So the second day of my arrival in the United States, I happened to be met by severe diarrhea. But that was my second day in the United States. So I don't know how to express diarrhea. How can I know diarrhea? That was my own second day in the United States. There were 3 words I only know was taxi, bus, diamond. So I went to the pharmacy. I literally ran into the pharmacy because it was urgent, and I ran into the pharmacy and I talked to her, and she looked very calm with the white dress, very calm. And I asked her, and my pronunciation at that time was not like this because I just came from Korea 2 days ago. So I was like, excuse me. And she was asking like, yes, may I help you? And I said, yes, help me. So, and then there was like pause for 5 seconds each other, and then she said like, okay, so how can I help you? So I talked to her. I have a problem. And she said, okay. And I said, but I was urgent, and she was so calm, and I was like, ma'am, I have a problem, and it's a big problem. And there was like another pause for 5 seconds, and she said like, may I ask you what is the problem? And I was like hesitating for 10, 15 more seconds, and I was so desperate. I gotta buy that medicine immediately. So what I talked to her was, I have a water shit. And 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 after that happened, she gave me the medicine immediately. And after payment, she was laughing, and what she told me was, I think you gotta run. Okay, so I ran. So that was the second day in the United States, and I learned English by that way. So and but after that, I did that kind of thing a lot. So because I don't know how to speak English, so like we call it body language, right? And but the reason why I'm telling you this is, with the Gangnam Style, what do you know about the lyrics? Without sexy lady. So I was so shocked because, I honestly never expected or never dreamed to be something international to myself. I never expected that kind of thing. And honestly, I was happy enough in my country. So, and but the funny thing was, people in Korea, they've known me as an artist for 12 years, but no one knew that I can speak English. And they never assume I can speak English. And what they are saying to me was like, you don't look like you are, capable of speaking English. What does it look like? So it was same thing. We have the word diarrhea, but water shit works, right? So when I do the Gangnam Style, I didn't mean anything or I didn't do anything intentionally, but when I wrote this song, like United States and like all over the world, last summer, it was last July, and in my country as well, economic was so bad and so poor, and everybody was so frustrated. So as a 12-year-old artist, I thought this time my only job and my only goal is to make them laugh by music, by choreograph, and by music video. So I literally tried my best to be as ridiculous as possible. That's what I tried with the Gangnam Style. So, but I have a Korean label, the company is called YG, and they have a boy band called Big Bang and girl band called 21. And because of them, because they have a lot of, such as they have a lot of overseas fan bases, so the company, they are, uploading every their artist video on YouTube. So they never expected me something happening in YouTube, but they are just doing it because it's their job. So so someone in the company, they asked me like, Sai, we're gonna upload a video at YouTube. And I said, why? And she's saying like, oh, because Big Bang is uploading the video, 21's uploading the video, every artist of our company is uploading the video at the YouTube. And I said like, oh, was it? Really? And okay, if you want, you can, and I don't mind. So they upload the video. And I'm thinking these days, what if she didn't do her job? That was kind of mandatory thing. She uploaded the video at the YouTube. So, but she might skip that because we never expected anything in YouTube. So she just did her job, and we upload the video. And like first like 1 month, all the comments were all in Koreans. So I just visited the site like once a week, and like here's some traffic, okay, but not that much, okay. But after second weeks, I mean 2 weeks later, I saw some English like comments and some Arabic comments, some French comments, like Portuguese comments. I even cannot read. And so, are they saying something good or bad? I don't know. But there were a lot of different languages like coming in. So I was like, wow. So after that moment until now, the only word I'm keep saying to myself about this kind of unrealistic situation, the only thing I'm saying is WTF, so so because it's so unrealistic. So at the YouTube, like, so I remember the time in Korea I had a hardest, biggest party with my friends when I got 10 million views. I was like, wow, did you hear about 10 million views? I'm the guy. And I partied hard to celebrate 10 million views. Yeah. After that 10 million views, that thing, like W something thing, it's like started to happen like, once in 2 days, For example, like Katy Perry tweeted my video, and Britney Spears tweeted my video, Tom Cruise tweeted my video, Robbie Williams tweeted my video, and T-Pain tweeted my video. And besides T-Pain's, adding a lot of cute emoticons of horses, and he's saying, op, 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 wow. So, of course I knew Katy Perry, Britney Spears, Tom Cruise, T-Pain, but they are tweeting my video. And I'm just done with the hanging over after that 10 million view party, They started to tweet like, really? Why? And they are like, obsessed, hilarious, they are saying. But I don't know the meaning of the word like obsessed or hilarious. So is that good thing or bad thing? Is it? So, we have Google Translator, right? So I got that. And so that happened like that. And you might know the guy named Scooter Braun, who is my manager and who is manager of Justin Bieber, Carly Rae, and The Wanted. And he called me like from LA to Korea. And of course I can speak Korean, but no, of course I can speak English, but I'm sorry. Yeah, I can speak Korean. And so after year of 2000, I stopped speaking English for 13, 14 years, and the guy called me and was like, it's called 여보세요, which means hello. It's like, 여보세요. And he's like, are you Psy? 뭐? 뭐 means what? Well, like, I was like, what? And he was like, are you Psy? Yeah, and I answered him like, I think I am, and I asked him, who are you? And he said, my name is Scooter Brown. Who? Scooter Brown. Scooter? Is that name of you or your hobby or? So he said, I'm a manager of Justin Bieber. But I thought it was like, wrong number or I thought he was not the guy. Why manager of Justin Bieber make a phone call to me? So I was like, hey, if you are Justin Bieber's manager, I'm Justin Bieber. What are you talking about? And all right, give me your address. I'll send you a picture of proof. All right, send me a picture of proof. You, Justin, standing together, look very familiar. Come on, send me the picture. I gave him the email address, and he sent me the email address. And I saw the picture, and he was like, with literally everybody. I was like, holy, really? And I called him really politely, So, first time I like, what, Scooter, is that hobby or something? And then, like, second time I call him like, do all the respect, May I talk to? And he was like, for the first thing he asked me was, he wanna buy the copyright of the song so that he can make a remix with Justin or Usher, I don't know. That was the first thing he asked me. I was like, really? Oh my God, really? You wanna buy the copyright? And he was like, yes. And it was kind of embarrassing, but I asked him the second question. How much? And he laughed out and, like, can you fly over to LA? I was like, yeah. I'll be there ASAP. And, I fly the next day to LA, and in the backyard of his house, there were Scooter Brown and Usher and Justin Bieber. I was like, the same thing. WTF, And they were all doing, wow, it's him. Ooh, I was like, how beautiful Usher is when he smiles, right? So with that eye, like, was so beautiful, like, wow. I was like, so right after that, we had a conversation, but Scooter didn't know that I can speak English. So my English was better than what he thought. So, and he was like, you're pretty much funny with in English. I was like, am I? Because, while I'm speaking right now, your laughing point is kind of different from my country. So, when I'm intentionally saying something to make fun, you are so calm. And, if I'm saying something, but I didn't mean anything to make fun, but where you're like, oh, I was like, wow. So, for example, when I was at Ellen's show to make Britney Spears like surprising dance lesson, that was my first appearance in national TV of the United States, and I was so nervous. That was first time ever being on national TV of US, and it was live, and it was with Britney, and she doesn't know I'm there. So I was hiding all day long, sneezing all day long, and they are saying like, "Hey, Britney doesn't know you are here." I was like, okay, you know. I did that for like 7, 8 hours. It was really hard, like, okay, you know. And when I stepped in, Britney was there with the Simon Cowell to promote the X Factor, the premiere of the X Factor. So she didn't expect having a dance time, so she literally dressed up really classy dress. That was pink dressy skirts, and it was like really tight skirts, one-piece skirts. And because she didn't think about anything, she's gonna dance that show. So I just came out, and so she was like having so hard time, you know, dress was so tight and her heel was so high, so she was like, oh, oh, oh. And I so what I told her and told to the people, because she were so classy, so what I told her was, you know, the theme of the dance and song is, you know, dress classy and dance cheesy. So that was the thing. But they were like, when I said like, the theme of the song is dress classy and dance cheesy, and they were like, wow. Like, I was like, is this funny? And you know, besides, they were laughing out loud, but this time you were calm, right? When I said dress class dance cheesy, and you were like, it's like, I don't know, it's so random. But so when I met the Scooter, and he you know, offered me very strange, very weird, but genius piece of the idea. So the first thing I asked him was, all right, though, so so I'm asking him like, so you still want to buy the copyright of the song? But you know, he found out some my concert footage at the YouTube while I'm flying, and he was like, hey, how many people was that? And I was like, what people? And he was like, in your concert in Korea. Oh, you saw that? Yeah. It was like 30,000, 40,000. And what is the population of your country? It's 50 million. And I was like, he was like, oh, why don't we sign? Really? And he was like, yeah, with the Gangnam Style. And I asked him, the first thing was, should I translate the lyrics in English? If I try hard, maybe I can rap in English. And here comes the genius idea of him, and I was so lucky to meet him, because what he told me was, hey, Sai, if you rap it in English, we already have it a lot, and most of them, they are better than you. But if you rap it in Korean in United States, you are the number one, you know? Yeah, that's what he told me. I was like, oh, so you want to keep the lyrics in Korean? And he's like, yes. Then, but people, you know, people gonna having a very hard time when they're listening to the song. So what we talked about was, so you know, the funny thing is, when I perform the Gangnam Style and the new single Gentleman these days all over the world, and you know, they don't have any idea what I'm talking about. They're like, yeah, Sana, hey, yeah, Sana, hey. And they are waiting all over until sexy lady is coming, and they're like, Sana, hey. And like, oh, sexy lady is coming, like, sexy lady. And they're like, so that was, you know, isn't that amazing? I mean, you don't know the lyrics and you don't know the single word of Korean, but I'm so glad because when I do the performance, crowd doesn't know what the lyrics is about, but they look so happy. So they gotta listen to the lyrics. But when I do the Gangnam Style in Korean, but they don't know what the word meanings, but they're like, so I think there were something beyond the language. I think there were. I didn't realize that time because at that time I was so shocked every day. But yes, there was something beyond the language. So we can assume it music, but that's so boring answer. So something beyond language is music. Music makes everyone united. I'm not gonna answer in that way, but something beyond the language, I think it's fun. The word fun. So all of you and all the people around the world, we love funs, right? Yeah, we like the fun. We like fun. So, not the group fun, fun. And yeah, so this is the thing. I try to make some joke, but you're like, yeah, it's random. I don't know. Right. Um, so after that Britney Ellen show, I did the Today show at Rockefeller Center, and I could imagine the picture that all the tourists and visitors at the East Coast, they are taking a family picture time in front of the Rockefeller Center. And I did it as well with my family when I was young. And I did a gig which is called Today Show in front of the Rockefeller Center in the morning. And I'm always curious why they have so many popular TV programs such an early in the morning in the United States. It's really hard to wake up like 5, 6 a.m., doing a rehearsal at 6:20 a.m. I was like, oh, and but the program's so popular. So after today's show, I did something with MC Hammer at American Music Award. And after that, we got a phone call from the artist who's gonna do concert in Madison Square Garden, and the artist wanted me to collaborate to do some mashup. So I asked like, who is that? And it was Madonna. So at that time, I was at number 2 in Billboard, but still, Madonna, she wanted to me make a collaboration in Madison Square Garden, do the mashup with the Gangnam Style and her song, Give It To Me. Yeah, that's the exact same thing. Wow, give it to me, Wow, it's Madonna. And so, but it was really funny because she is so professional, but honestly, too professional, because I'm just a special guest and we are doing just one song. But, so, she said, I need a rehearsal. Yeah, of course, we need a rehearsal because we got to check up all the things, appearance, disappearance, and so on, and the dance together. We got to check everything. But that was so unique and so strange. She asked me to wear very nice formal black suits in the rehearsal. I was like, why should I wear so nice at the rehearsal? I'm just guest and I'm just doing one song and I'm leaving, but she asked me to do so. So I was like, okay. So, I really dressed up nice, black suit, and I went to the Madison Square Garden. So I expected maybe it's Madonna, so maybe she's rehearsing with the very nice outfits because it's Madonna. But she were wearing like sweatpants and sweatshirts. So she wear like literally very convenient outfits. And I was the only one who's wearing like black suits. And we rehearsed together and we did everything together. And, there was really cool thing. The first thing so like I step into the stage, she was lying on the stage and, like, hey, honey, hi there. I was like, wow. Oh, look at her. Like, lying on the stage and, ask me, hi, honey, am I her honey? Wow. and, the first thing she told me was coolest ever. Honey, you can touch anywhere of my body on the stage. But I was like, without hesitating, I was asking her, really? So I think that was kind of huge piece, big momentum of my career. So after that, I was in Times Square for the New Year's Eve. And then, I'm traveling all over. But after that, I gotta be humble. I know I gotta be humble. Because this not happens to everybody, especially for Asian artists. They tried a lot knocking the door to the US market, but it didn't happen but I already told you I didn't expect I'm gonna do that. I dreamed someday some Korean artists maybe be recognized and well known in the United States market. I dreamed about it, but I didn't dream that was me. Because as you see, I have like very special body shape and so I didn't think about that was me. So yeah, it's special. And natural and casual, yeah, special. Okay. So after promotion in US is done, I got a lot of offers from like France, British, like Italy, Germany, Brazil, like Hong Kong, China, and so on. Literally every country. So last 4 or 5 months, I've been to 26, 7 countries, and it was 50 something cities in 4 or 5 months. And it was really happy, but what I gotta do every time is, they're asking like, hey Sai, teach me how to dance. Hey Sai, teach me how to dance. So, yeah, like this. Yeah, like this. To 20 something countries and 50 something cities, teaching that horsey. And one day, I had a nightmare that, when I slept, I had a nightmare that, in that nightmare, I was a horse. So, but at that period, my schedule was pretty much like, looping. So, airport, hotel, venue, airport, hotel, venue, airport, hotel, venue. So, in the meantime, I didn't aware what country am I, what city I'm at, what time is it, what day is it, and mostly all the airport looks same, venue looks same, hotel looks same. So they were all same, and I was like, I gotta be humble, but I was so exhausted at the time, and had that nightmare so often. Really, I was like zebra, running, at the grass field, like she's angry, like wow, and I'm doing like this. I'm zebra, but I'm doing this in that nightmare, it's really scary. And so after that moment is done, a lot of people started to ask me, what is your next? And I hesitated a while because I didn't know what's my next, because that song was so huge. Wow. Oh, can you wear it one more time? Can you stand up one more time? Can you stand up? Wow. Wow, you look gorgeous. Wow. Wow, you look great. Wow. That horse in my nightmare just looked like that, Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you. So after that, when I hesitated to answer the question about my next, and people started to say one hit wonder. I was like, what is one hit wonder? And they were like, one song and gone. It's one hit wonder. Oh, so they are saying, am I one hit wonder? And they are saying, yes. Whoa. But I've done this job for 12 years in my country, and I already have like 6, 7 albums in my country. How can I be one hit wonder? But you only have Gangnam Style. When you travel out of Korea, they can say one hit wonder. I was like, no, I've done this job for more than a decade. How can I be a one hit wonder? You are a one hit wonder. Wow. How can I be a one hit wonder if I've done this job for 12 years? So I was like, okay, I gotta do something. I gotta do something. So I started composing the song. And, at the period, I analyzed the reason why people chose the Gangnam Style. So the word style, that is like simultaneously usage, that has same usage in every country, meaning-wise, pronunciation-wise, and all-wise, style. Everybody's using the word style all over the world. That's what I got. So, all right, I gotta find the words such as bus, taxi, diamond. So, yeah. So what I found out was the word called gentleman. And gentleman, we are all using that word as the same meaning. So that was the starting of the song. When I found that, international world, and then, I started to like the lyrics. So honestly, it was not the lyrics, it was linguistics, I started to find the Korean lyrics which can be translated easily all over the world, so I, started to really, it was linguistics. And after that, I gotta, invent the video, invent the dance, and, for all the artists, when they are preparing the new one, they are really thinking about themselves like harsh, and they are, really pressed to make some changes. But for me, it's kind of different because as a commercial music industry product, I am the product. So as a product, there should be a specific reason why people chose me. They didn't choose me because I'm handsome. They didn't choose me because I'm muscular. They didn't. The reason why they chose me because I have fun with the music, with the dance, with the video. So what I'm always trying to do is not the changing, but the upgrading. That's what I try to do. Because that's why people chose me as a product. If they want something else, there are something else. I gotta do my role and my, price tag that people, touched on. So, though, have you heard the song, gentlemen? Um, yeah, so, you know, when we, experience some culture material such as new single, there should be likes and dislikes because it depends on your personal taste and it's all different. So I cannot satisfy all of you because it's personal taste. So I'm doing that what I think is good. And I assume it should work unless what should I do? So I did that with the gentleman. But Gangnam Style was not normal. Gangnam Style was not standard. So people these days, they are comparing this song, Gentleman, with the Gangnam Style. Poor gentleman. Every song's becoming poor if they compare with Gangnam Style. That was accident. And accidents happens not often. If accident happens often, human beings dying if it happens, accident happens often, you know. So that was accident, and from now on, I gotta do my job. I cannot expect any accident anymore, and it's literally like almost 1.6 billion views. 1.6 billion. I already told you I've grown up in the population of 50 million country and 1.6 billion. And with the gentleman, so what I expected was, all right, timing-wise, this time it's defensive because Gangnam Style was such a huge offense. So what I thought this time, all right, defense, so that I can stay in this country and I'm gonna, defense well so that, I can do the next thing. And the only goal was to avoiding to be called one-hit wonder. So my only goal with the gentleman was, being a top 10 of Billboard and making 100 million views with the YouTube. That was my only goal with the gentleman, honestly. So a lot of people saying, gentleman's good, gentleman's bad, it's success, it's not success. Comparing it with Gangnam Style, I'm not gonna success forever. But, regarding as a second challenge as an Asian artist to this market, and I was, the video, it's been uploaded on YouTube in 27 days, and it has 300 million views right now. And right now it's, and, Billboard just announced, gentlemen, this week in Billboard Hot 100, where I was like 33 or something. But, I was so surprised that I disappointed number 33 in Billboard. I was so shocked. Are you crazy? Number 33 on Billboard. And I was like, I gotta do it better. I gotta do it better. I'm so spoiled. So spoiled. Number 33 on Billboard. That's huge, more than huge. But so the reason why I'm telling you is there are a lot of likes and dislikes. And for me as a character, and for me as a product, and with the song Gentleman, it has a lot of likes and dislikes. Gangnam Style, it was abnormal. It doesn't have that much dislikes. It only has likes. But cultural product, it should have likes and dislikes. So I have a lot of likes and dislikes on my Twitter and that YouTube account. And I think that's a normal and that's a standard situation. So bottom line, what I can tell you, and I want to share this idea with you that I cannot say I've been the best, but I can say I've done my best for 13 years. And thank you. And one more thing, I know we are out of time, but wow, I speak pretty much good English, am I? Yeah. So at the beginning, I told you I was a college kid in Boston for 4 years, and I used to have a nickname called WWF. It's not World Wrestling Federation. It is withdraw, withdraw, fail. That was my nickname. Honestly, class was too early, so honestly, yeah. I was too young, so I misunderstood about creation. So what I thought at that time was I cannot learn creation from others. That's not a creation. So that's what I thought, but I was wrong. But we are wrong when we are young. And after 14 years, who knew? I'm making a speech. I got an invitation from, president of your university. And what can I say? It's weird that I'm, facing you guys like this, but life is weird. And what can I say? I'm happy and I'm so proud, and literally, it's so unrealistic. I'm making a speech at Harvard. At this moment, at this very moment, it's so unrealistic. You look so smart, and it's so it's so unrealistic. So what can I say? Shit happens right now, but so I'm very believing hard in the power of positivities. And if it is good or bad, sometimes they are harsh to me, sometimes they are warm to me. Whatever it happens, whatever it takes, please be positive. And that's I think, biggest power on the planet. And so that you can, meet someday there's a lot of shit's gonna happen to your life as well. I was 14 years coming back in Boston, having a speech. Wow, WWF make a huge success. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.